Oh, okay. I was just wondering. So I have some. I don't know. Yeah. Big. What? It wasn't this big. Yeah. Wait a minute. Oh, that's
I got to get over
right. and goal. None, I mean, I brought my damn.
You gotta be rapping.
Balance. Yeah. Hey, folks. Good evening. Thank y'all for being here. It's a great turnout for a special meeting. If you would join me in turning your phones to silent and sleep so that they don't ring. I sense a lot of passion in the room, which is a good thing. But I would ask that if you have that passion, it's just getting ready to bubble out, please take it out in the lobby and close the doors behind you. And then when it comes time to public speaking time, then we'll adjust at that time. And actually, we don't have public speaking on the agenda, so there may not be a time for public speaking. So if you have to have a sidebar, please take it out in the lobby and close the doors behind you. All right, Miss Sonia, you ready? You guess? Thank you for doing that. I know that was kind of appreciate that. All right, folks, if everybody please stand. Father in heaven, we just acknowledge you that you're King and Lord, and that you created this beautiful place we call Swansboro, and we thank you for it. And just pray for wisdom for the commissioners. And Lord, we just thank you for the opportunity to lead in our town. In Jesus' name, amen. You join me with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, board members, we are here for a special meeting. As y'all know, the budget is getting ready to go through the final paces for approval for, June 30th for final? June 11th. It's even coming quick. So there have been some items that have been discussed that for possible funding out of the general fund, and those are Tunnel to Towers event, the Swan Fest nightly event, the Sunday night event, One Place, and Carolina Museum of the Marines. I believe Tunnel for Towers is typically done around 9/11, one weekend either before, after, or on, depending on how it lands. And I'm not sure if we've given actual dollars for that, but as we've discussed, if not all of our staff are working that day at some level or another in order to support that event. So there is an financial cost that goes along with that event. Swan Fest, we have been funding year to year. I think, I'll just go with what I read off of Facebook, which I don't know the accuracy, but something on there about 14 years we've been funding it. And then the part that bothered me is that the funding might be in jeopardy, which we've been through 3 budget cycles, and we've actually increased that amount for them by 15%. So I'm not sure where that information was coming from. One Place, they presented the other night on the things that they do and how they help our police department and abused children in Swansboro. And I think we saw they impact about 1,000 children in the Swansboro area. And then Carolina Museum of the Marines, As y'all know, they broke ground the other night, and it's something that Swansboro has not supported. They do have a campus on Camp Lejeune. They've gotten millions of dollars from Jacksonville, millions of dollars from the state and the county, and so I felt that that might be something that y'all would like to consider. So with all that said, I'm just going to throw this out there to get the discussion started. Again, I'm concerned about what was posted on Facebook, but it is what it is. It's Facebook. On the Swan Fest issue, currently we have $7,100 in the budget through our 3 or 4 meeting cycles that we've been through. And Tunnels for Towers, again, from what I understand, we basically provide our staff for the morning and into the afternoon. And then, of course, on Monday morning, they have to spend a couple hours cleaning up as well. So with that said, I'm just going to suggest with those 2 events, they're recurring events. They're events that are beneficial to our town. They are events that I believe that the coordinators of have done fantastic job with that, and they are beneficial. But I am going to encourage the board, especially after spending considerable phone calls with the chair of the TDA, the Tourism Development Authority, that whatever funding that we do, whether it's in kind or actual cash value, that would go through the TDA. And one is, I believe that the general budget is tax dollars, and I think to spend tax dollars on recurring events that are nonprofits, I think that really needs to go through the TDA. The TDA was created to support these kind of nonprofits and these kind of events that do bring tourism to our town. And I believe after speaking with Randy, there are ways for the TDA to be able to support these 2 events. I think one place in Carolina Museum of the Marines is an opportunity for the town to do a one-time donation if y'all so choose. I think the other thing that there's a commitment by several board members here to reduce our taxes for the citizens of our town, which in this budget we have yet to do. I do know that's something that y'all wanted to accomplish. And I think the other issue that I feel that bothers me here is taking care of our police and our fire personnel that currently work for the town, as we know that John's coming back, the town manager, John Barlow, is coming back to us either middle June or late June to let us know what is happening in the other municipalities in terms of pay and salary and what we're going to have to do to be able to continue with that. And I think that's our primary purpose, is to provide safety and protection of our citizens. And we need to make sure that we are funding those at the levels that they should be funding, and help our 2 chiefs reduce the revolving door that they have. So that's kind of my summary for this. I'll turn it over to you guys if you would. And again, this might become passionate, it might not, but if you would just ask for my attention before speaking. That way we can maintain some decorum and make sure everybody gets to speak in turn. So with that, which commissioner would like to take the helm or take the microphone? All right, Mr. Joe, go for it.
Good evening, everybody. How are you doing? Do we owe you guys money too? No. Hey, it was interesting what you threw out there at the end about the fire and the police. I thought we'd already solved that in our budget. From talking with Randy, talking with Mary Pat about our Tunnels Tower desire to fund her operation, or it's not hers, it's Tunnel to Towers operation. It's our event. You know, we have options here. We can let it go and go to Jacksonville, or it can go to Emerald Isle, or it can go to any number of other places that would love to take that here in the southeast North Carolina. But I say no, that is a Swansboro event, okay? And I'll do everything I can do to keep it in Swansboro. Now, again, talking to Randy, in-kind support is how I understand the money that Tunnel to Tower gets from Swansboro. Is that correct, Sonia? Okay, so understand, we're not going to give Tunnel to Towers a check and say, have a good time, or good day, excuse me, good time, however it works out for you. We're going to send us your bill for what we've used, our police department, fire department, our staff, our parks and rec, all of the stuff that goes into supporting Tunnel to Towers. That's how Joe Brown sees it. I think that's about the way the majority of people see our contribution to Tunnel to Towers. What's that going to be at the end? I think, Sonia, you worked up some numbers from the past. I'm saying it again? $3,200. And that's from the city. Mary Pat, have you received money from the TDA in the past? Okay, so we're going to reduce our burden of $3,200, or you give it 3% increase for cost of living or inflation. It's going to be, I don't know, I'm not that good in math, but it's, we can reduce our burden by what Randy and the TDA, and you're good with that, right, Linda? Well, I know, no, I'm not asking how you vote for that. That's not
Yeah,
right.
Joe, you may not want to.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. So, anyways, we think we got money coming. You can secure money from the TDA. You can secure money from the town, in-kind contribution type thing. And that's where I think we need to go and determine, work the number out to say how much does Swansboro need to give versus the TDA. And that's where we need to vote tonight to support that in-kind.
But we really can't support it if the TDA is an independent organization.
No,
So what we would need to do, in my mind, is let that go before the TDA, see what the TDA does, and then if there's a delta, then it would need to come back to us.
How will that affect your timeline, Mary Pat, getting everything going, moving in the right direction? All right. So,
Well, I suspect the TDA could have an emergency meeting. I don't think that's,
the,
because we got at least two that may need to go to the TDA anyway, so.
but the TDA is going to have a regular meeting prior to, for the event. What is it, 11th of September? The 7th of September this year?
Yeah. Mary Pat, I hate to cut you off, but we need to bring this back to the board. So, all right, any more thoughts?
No, just, I think we're on the right track as far as in-kind. I'm a bit off-center for, if it's $3,200 and they had never had TDA money before, so we're looking at 32 plus.
How, and what's the fund balance for the TDA?
It's $213,196.
We got a lot of money in the TDA to help do this stuff we want to do.
Does Tunnels of Tower fit the
Based on my conversations with Randy, he thinks it'll fit. That's all I've got, until they have to get together as a group and vote on it.
well, I guess if we look at covering the Delta, I really would like to see a commitment from us, from the town. I'm said from the beginning, from when I stepped in this pile of whatever and said, let's have a special meeting, my idea was 2,500 from the city and 2,500 from the TDA. Now that sounds like that might be overkill. So if we make a commitment of 2,500 for Tunnels of Towers, right? That goes up to 2,500. Again, we're not giving nobody money. You do the in-kind, we do our share of the in-kind, and take 20. If we get 2,500 from the TDA, that's $5K, and somebody should get some money back. And I would say the city will get their money. So,
Any comments on the other three that are on the docket?
help me out, folks.
No, I'm asking you.
Oh no, I'm good. That's what I wanted to say.
I do.
First of all, very kind. Thanks for
Job to do, and I appreciate everything you do with it, and I understand it's a pretty successful event. So that's $3,200 for police and fire department, Sonia?
No, Parks and Rec.
That's everybody.
That's everybody.
Okay,
And
the whole-
That includes benefits.
Okay.
Is that a mandatory day? Like they have to work that day?
Well, it depends as far as public safety because they're scheduled a little different. But obviously Parks and Rec and Public Works, that is Saturday.
Hold on, let me go back to, yeah, hold on,
So, you know, I fully support Tunnels to Tower. I donate to it every month, as I'm sure many other board members do. So I'd like to see it be a success and stay in Swansboro. Where are you at right now in the planning process of it? Is it a year-round thing? Do you do it 6 months out? How do you handle your planning for the event? And do you have a communication person, a point of contact for the town to help make sure it's a smooth process? That's to Mary Pat.
Yeah, Mary Pat, why don't you
Yeah,
come
can
up
you
and use
come-
the
yeah, I was
Come up to the
gonna say-
microphone. We can't.
It's a public meeting, so we need to get you on.
And I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I come from a business background, so I have a lot of questions about things and about planning and organization and whatnot.
On the top.
Towards you.
That on, oh,
There you go.
okay.
That's it.
There we go. This happened organically when I thought about bringing this to the town. I actually came right here and sat at a different podium, but said who we were, and I had initially gone to the high school or to the school board, and they suggested to me, we would love to have this event, but since you're in Swansboro, maybe you should bring it to Swansboro. So I reached out to the town manager at the time. He was on vacation. He says, oh, you should go talk to Parks and Rec. Talk to Parks and Rec. It just organically evolved to where all of a sudden the meetings were initially held at Parks and Rec, then they started being held here at Town Hall, and every year it just grew. Both chiefs were at the meetings, Public Works was at the meetings, Parks and Rec, and people just pitched in and pitched ideas, and it just became a town event. I used to talk about it being a hug to this community, and the town and the community just kind of embraced it back, and it grew with kids and schools and churches and water stops and along the way and neighbors, and it kind of grew as a Swansboro event. There was never discussion about it being cost. There were a couple times they talked about maybe making it into one of the official events of the town or the festival or something, but nothing was ever done. The first year there was an events application, but it just kept rolling, and we did an additional named insured. But to your question about the planning, that is typically, it's gotten easier because we've done the same route and the same people involved and the same players, so it's much less planning. As we are a last-minute town, we usually kick off, most events kick off about 6 months before. I've always held ours to about 3 months before. So we were set to launch last Thursday, but when I got the email from the town, I put a pause on that. I talked to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation and said, I'm not sure that we're going to have it here or in the same way this year, so let's hold a pause. The next launch for the run to go live is on June 20th. So if we are prepared by June 20th to go live and keep things as they have been the last 3 years, then we will have to just kick it up a little bit, because we're a little bit close in to September 7th. But it's a year-round planning, I suppose, but there's very little planning anymore. It's just sort of plugging the pieces back into what we've built over these 3 years.
So you raise a lot of donations with runs, or how do you get donations? Do you
We-
get them from individuals or businesses?
There
or-
are both. People register for the event, there's through Run Sign Up. Then there are corporate sponsorships. There's some of those sponsors in this room. And they get their logo on the back of the T-shirt, and personal donations. Each person who registers for the run is able to build a fundraising page. In return for this loose sponsorship/partnership as it has become, Tunnel to Swansboro has always been sort of the presenting sponsor, the partner. So their logo's on the back of the T, the biggest on the back. It's always sort of presented in that way. I had to get permission from the town to use the logo on the poster that advertises it next to the Tunnel to Towers logo. So, clearly it wasn't maybe done in the proper way. It just evolved, and no one said stop or questioned. It just kept growing.
Would it make your job easier if you had like one contact person or one contact department like Parks and Recs or Public Works or Fire Department or Police? Or it sounds like you're bounced around a little bit, and I fully support Tunnels to Tower. I want to make sure.
I don't feel it's been bounced
okay.
around. We had about every 6 weeks had a planning meeting here, and there was a group email that went to the 6 people on the committee, which would be the chiefs and Public Works, and we all got together and had an agenda and sort of knocked stuff off. And I think the communication was pretty good. I think if we were going to pinpoint one individual, it would probably be Parks and Rec, because that is the location of the event, at least the start and the finish, or has been.
And one last question. I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but do you know how much it costs to pull this event off? What the total cost is by any chance? I mean, I know it's an off-the-cuff question, but what's the total? How much does it cost for you to do this? And you can get back with this. It's just an off-the-cuff question. I'd just like to know how much it costs to pull off an event.
Are you
like that.
asking cost to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation?
Just in general, like how much you get from Tunnels to Towers,
Oh,
how
we
much
get
you
nothing.
have to spend, how many donations you get, just kind of like a little synopsis of a budget that tells you how much you're getting in as far as donations and support, and how much you're having to outlay to pull the event off. It's just, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just,
No, that's okay.
just curious,
Yeah. I wasn't sure the format of this. I didn't come with those
Yeah,
numbers.
and I'm sorry. I'm not really
that's
not trying to
okay.
put you on the spot.
I don't mind. We get a lot of in-kind donations for the events, the event cost the day of, like Jersey Mike's and Sam's Club and all that, with water and fruit and things like that. And it's all volunteer run.
Yeah.
Tunnel to Towers covers things like the bibs that you run and the finisher medals and those sorts of things, and the signage, and that's all built into a budget that we sit down with the run director, who's a staff partner in New York, to try and figure out, okay, and if I need to bring in porta potties because there weren't enough there, those are all costs that then I have to pass on to the foundation or the run-timing company that handles all of that. And so that certain of those costs are passed along to them. Everything else just comes in through mostly in-kind donations. That's the biggest thing. And if I could approximate, the fundraising has varied from year to year. The first year we had surprised everybody with just over 250 people. Then the next year it doubled, and we had about 800 run last year. About 1,500 attended the event. And I would say that the sponsorship, company sponsorships, corporate sponsorships, or individuals probably came to the tune of about 35,000 that went to the foundation. And as far as our outlay expenses, probably under 1,000.
Yeah, and I appreciate, thank you so much for everything you do, and I understand it's probably one of the most successful ones in the state.
And largely in because of the turnout, especially for the small town, but also because of the support from the community. You know, a lot of places have bigger overhead expenses, and there's just not as much of a return. I had a problem where they told me there are too many logos on the back of your T-shirt. The company Marathon that does the T-shirts, they can't fit them all because then you can't read them. And I said, for me, anyone who sponsors or anyone who comes up, whether it's, you know, $500 from a small, considering our town, I said, I'd like to recognize that because my idea was that people would see the vast community support for this military, you know, especially military first responder community here, and they would feel that hug. So I said, well, if they give and they donate and they spend their time, talent, or treasure, then I want to recognize it. And they made it happen.
I just want to thank you again for everything. You know, I know you put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it, and not trying to be difficult by asking the questions. It's just my background, and it's just my curiosity.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Makes me wonder about things.
Transparency is very important, I think. And so I'm all for the questions and figuring this out, and I appreciate the chance.
Yep, thank you.
It's a team effort for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Doug.
Anybody
you're on.
else? Hot seat? All right.
Poor me, Pat.
Better up.
First of all, Sonia, the number 3,200, that's above and beyond what we normally have on during that day to cover the expenses for the shift workers from the police and the safety personnel and the rec, right? Yep. So in a normal, so we're not talking at 3,200 for the whole day anyway. We're talking that's the added expense to a normal day's operation.
Correct.
Okay. Once I got that. Now, because it kind of goes into my second part of the question I have for you on this one. How many runners did you have last year? Just curious.
800-ish.
Okay. And then obviously onlookers and supporters of those runners and stuff like that.
Family and stuff. I think they ballparked out there at the park around 1,500 people were out at the event.
So we're talking about 3,000 folks pretty much that could come to the town this year and support this.
Yeah.
Close too. That's what we're working toward, right?
Yeah. That might be a little high, but yes, it could. I mean, it sure could, especially if we kick it into high gear.
Now, would you guys agree that at the same time, 3,000 people are going to be dropping some money at our merchants, and we're going to reap some rather large receipts that day for businesses? Okay. That's kind of what I'm going after on the facts, but at the same time, I'm not conflicted at all about this, but I do have, as a constitutional conservative, someone needs to point out in the Constitution where it shows me that the government's authorized to spend tax money on charity. Okay, because if you can point that out to me somewhere in our state constitution, in our town charter, or our U.S. Constitution, I'd write you a blank check with public money, your tax ad valorem money tomorrow. But I hate to tell you this, it's beyond my authority to do that as a constitutional conservative, plain and simple, all right? But I think there's a way with those kind of receipts coming in because the TDA gets a pretty huge chunk of those receipts that come in. That's why I support this. Because that money is carved out. It's not in your tax money, and nobody goes to jail like some people would. Not giving the 2 cent reduction in taxes, guys, I knocked on doors, a lot of doors when I campaigned for this office. I met several people who were about to lose their home because they could no longer afford the tax in the town, because they're on fixed incomes, plain and simple. So that is the reality we deal with at the same time. I don't have a heart of stone. I have a very giving heart. If you want to check for charity, I'm the first one to write it. You want a $500 donation, I'll cut your one tomorrow, okay, for Tunnels for Towers. I don't have a problem doing that. It's when you put me in charge of public money, when I have to coerce it out of you and I can take your property if you don't pay your tax bill. That's called coercion at the end of the day. Charity comes from the heart, comes from the soul, and it's freely given at the same time. So I'm willing to lead on the charity event. But at the same time, I stand on principle, and that there's some things, if you can show me where this is authorized in our U.S., state, or local town charter, and show me the text, then I can probably be moved. And that's about all I have. But I see that you're generating more revenue for the town, and that money flows through the TDA. And they can do that because it supports what the TDA wants, which is a business-friendly environment.
Was there a question? I won't be able to pull that up. I see this, there's the funding issue, which is obviously important to everybody here, especially you guys up there, and the proper use of people's tax dollars and this town's tax dollars and deciding what to support. You know, you guys, Public Safety came out and supported Military Appreciation Day, which is part of a nonprofit that is beneficial to this town. There's Pirate Fest, there's Touch-A-Truck, there are a million other things around here that this town and these commissioners and the people's tax dollars go to support. It's just a matter of what is important, I think, along those lines, and what does this town want to support and stand for and things like that. And I always felt that this was a great, again, gift from the town to the people who choose to live here and spend this as their forever home. And just one of the good things for this town to get behind, to partner with, and to support. So from a constitutional perspective and the use of tax dollars and charities, that's a whole different discussion as far as I was looking at.
Well, I think you're right. I think the TDA is part of our town, though. Am I correct? It is part of our town's organization. It's part of our town's administration. And I think the money's there, is what I'm saying. The town still is, because it comes from a different pot of money, is what I'm saying. It doesn't come from the person that's about to lose their home, that's having a difficult time affording that 35-cent tax rate. And that's the other part of me, just on principle alone, is show me the text. And I'll back off my position in a heartbeat. I'm a textualist when it comes to the Constitution and laws. And I know that if it spites some people to hear that, I'm sorry. But I defended this Constitution with my life, with an oath that I'm going to keep to defend and support. And I didn't take that just once. I've taken that several times. And I'm going to take it to my grave even when I'm not in office, even though I'm no longer an active duty Marine. It means something to me.
Understood. And, you know, so does this to many people. So I'll take a look at that text and see what I can get back to you.
Yeah. Briefly, I know what my terminology would be, but I want to hear your terminology. What's Tunnel to Towers' mission?
To remember those that we've lost and to support those who are still here fighting and their families.
And I can't believe we're discussing this like we're going to lose $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. Joe, whatever you want to throw this way to have this go, I'll second it. So
I don't have any questions for you, Mary Pat. I support the Tunnel to Towers, and that's all we seem to be talking about, but we have Swan Fest also. Did I hear you say something about $7,100? Did I misunderstand that?
Mayor. 6,500.
65.
6,500.
Okay, I thought the last one I saw was 7,100. Did we change it?
Well, there's others in that line item. There's other contributions in that line item.
Oh, is that why? Okay, so 65, my apologies. And is there, and I think there's money in the TDA, is that, did I see a line item on the TDA for Swan Fest? Or for the arts, or whatever, or is that separate?
No, they haven't come to the town.
Okay,
Talking about Swan Fest?
what was that line? that-
Seaside Arts.
Seaside Arts Council, is that different or the same?
No, that's different.
That's different?
It's a-
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very good, thank you.
That's different.
All
Anyway, I support the Tunnel to Towers. $3,200 is not an issue for me. I do agree that both Swan Fest and Tunnel to Towers should go to TDA and should ask for money. But I still think we should support it as we have in the past.
But it should come out of TDA?
No, I said they should also go to TDA, but we should still support it.
All right, other thoughts on those?
Kind of think I made my thoughts clear already, but just for reinforcement, tunnel towers is an important thing.
Okay.
And if we hold a vote, I know where I'm going. Jeff and Pat, maybe Bill, I don't know. Doug, okay, but we'll see. Good job, Mary Pat. And you brought your crew with you. I've seen that little.
All right, go ahead, Bill. Go ahead, Bill.
I just don't want you to feel like you're being put on the spot, Mary Pat, and that you're not appreciated, because we do appreciate 100% what you do. My question is just derived from having a business background and operating with a budget and knowing what's coming in and what's going out, and it may not pertain to you as far as a charity organization, but that's just where my questions were coming from. It wasn't to put you on the spot or anything of that nature, so please understand that.
I'm going to say this again, the money's there. It just shouldn't come out of the general fund. I think the TDA, if the TDA is giving you a commitment, they'll bring it up and they'll discuss it with you. I think it's a pretty firm, you lay it out to them. This is how much receipts I bring you every year. So they're going to make money on it by having 3,000 people in this town spending their money in our restaurants, in our hotels, at our businesses. So yeah, I think asking for it's not a big ask, Mary Pat. With that, I'll leave it.
All right, I think we've beat Tunnels to Towers to death. Let's, all right, Swan Fest, where are we on Swan Fest? 6,500 in the budget for Swan Fest.
There is 6,500. It is.
It's in the budget.
What's, is there somebody from Swan Fest here that?
Are we good? Are we changing
Yeah, I'm
it?
good with that. I mean,
It's been in the budget, but there's rumors going around that we weren't,
you
that
guys
it
are
was
straight
not
with
in the
that?
budget.
Come on up top. I'm assuming that's why y'all came here.
From our standpoint, 6,500, we're happy, we'll go home, have a beer. I just needed confirmation, clear understanding, is it there, is this not? I've kind of got conflicting messages. I've reached out to town, I think on 3 different emails and got no response. When I looked at the agenda for this meeting tonight, and Swamp was on there, I got concerned. If the Swamp Fest budget was not in question from the town standpoint, and why was it part of a discussion of this meeting? If it is, as it has been in the past, I'm happy, I'm done.
Well, I think, social media, while, the internet's a great thing, it's screwed up enough stuff too. How to get out there, I got a copy of the posting, and, well, we got money for them. Why am I reading this? I've talked to a fellow today at the gym. I'm getting like Bill here. I can't go places and without people saying, "Hey, come here, Commissioner. I want to talk to you about this." So I had a fellow hammering me at the gym about grass in his neighborhood. And I've sent 5 emails Now, who is the code enforcer down there? I'm like, you know what? Instead of sending an email, why don't you come to a meeting? Request to be to speak at the meeting. Just sign up to do it and make your voice heard in front of everybody. You know, Jimmy Williams would be glad to write you up in the newspaper. You know, I know email's handy. It's easy and people get it out there, but you know, I lived a life of email for 17 years working for the government. I just got blasted every day, 150 emails every day. And you know, it's not the most efficient thing in the world. Come and see us, tell us, hey, you know, I hear I got a problem. Tell me I don't. Easy. But that's just Joe Brown stuff. I'm done, Bill. Go ahead.
So, we talked about a month or so ago, and we reassured you that we thought we were going to be able to do it, and showed you in the budget where we had it.
Actually, you said it was in the budget. You never showed me the budget.
All right. Well, really, the budget is coming out shortly, so it would be a final thing that you would see.
Is it in the proposed budget that's out there available now?
$6,500.
Publicized. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
$6,500.
What is the line item?
I'd have to look and see.
Tanya, what's the line item?
So while she's looking, have you all approached TDA at all about that?
We have in the past.
You have? Have you
Well,
this
we
year?
kind of had this conversation when I spoke at the board meeting. There may be some confusion there as well, in that the TDA, when I went to them before, their big push was you have to show heads and bids. Swan Fest is most likely not putting heads and bids. From what I understand, there's a different category of funding we can go after, and
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
we'd be
so-
more than happy to do that.
Just to clarify, the TDA is just like the town. It's an annual budget. You have to submit your grant request 30 days prior to the meeting, okay? And so if you look, the meeting schedule is online, I believe, under the TDA. So you'll know when the meetings are. They're required to be submitted to me 30 days prior to the meeting. If you need any help with the application or whatever, because the application is awful, but I can help you with that. But if there's anything that has to do with finance related with TDA or the town, you can come see me, you can call me, I will reach back out to you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Very good.
And the line item is the contribution to agencies. It's under the 411, under the governing body. Okay?
Very good.
And again, I think Swan Fest is a great event. I mean, we love going to it. The family goes to it every week. I just don't understand where people would post on social media when we had the discussion that we were going to fund it, that it's not going to be funded. And
It was under
and I know it's
consideration,
not
it was
your-
never guaranteed.
I'm sorry?
From my perspective, it was under consideration, it was never guaranteed.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry you took it that way.
Right.
I'm not going to ask you who, and I apologize that you sent 3 emails to the town,
I did.
and maybe, I don't want to, maybe I can talk to you.
I'm not going to name names.
Yeah, and I'm not asking
not-
you
I
to.
just won't.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe we can meet afterwards and you can say, let me know so we can follow up on it, because it's important.
I don't recall getting an email.
I have-
It wasn't to you, it was to the town hall.
And, because it's very important that if you send an email to the town, that you get a response, and I apologize for
And even
that.
if the response is, I don't know, just an
Yeah,
acknowledgement.
yeah, no,
you received it.
100%, at least acknowledge that you're alive, And so I apologize, and please understand again, it's like Tunnels Tower, I think you got a great event. We are trying to manage our budget as effectively as we can, and trying to
Yeah,
help
budgets
as
are
many.
never easy. and I
I'm
know.
sorry?
Budgets are never easy, and I
No,
totally understand.
No. And-
Communication is important. I think there's been a lack of it, probably from both sides.
Yeah, and
I'll raise my hand for that.
I'm 100% with you, so please reach out to me if I can do anything to help too. That's basically all I have to say. I mean, I appreciate, it's a thankless job doing volunteer work, I understand that, and thank you very much for your volunteer work.
Any other comments on?
Mayor.
hold on one second.
Just another thought, that even if he does contact us, really, we won't know whether it's approved or not approved until y'all approve
Yeah,
it.
until the
So
final.
technically, it could be considered, but I won't know that it's approved until the
Yeah.
board approves it.
But it's in the budget, but we don't know for sure until it is published.
And the only time
Yeah.
it came up for discussion is when you guys came. It has never
Right.
been asked to be taken out.
Right, and that's why it just took me by surprise when I saw it on the
Yeah.
agenda for this meeting.
Well, we were dealing with all the profits at once, what's that? All right, any other discussion on Swan Fest? Yes, sir.
It's the same category. I'm going to bring this up. The TDA, if I'm, just asked John to confirm it, but I'd like the staff to confirm it too. John, you probably know this. TDA is regulated by the state. They're governing body, right? There are statutes regarding what they can do and what they can't do. Yes. And so they're regulated to do just these types of things. Things that when we play music down there at that pavilion, it brings in people. Those people spend money down there. That money generates tax revenues. The TDA is an immediate beneficiary to that, and that money goes back to the community to support these types of things. All right? And I'm not picking a pocket of an 85-year-old woman on a fixed single Social Security income. Her husband's died and it got it cut in half. So we can remove her from her home. That's the only reason that needs to move out of the general fund and toward the TDA. So if you want your text, it's there, but it's with the TDA and the state regulations to do just these things. And all we're asking for is the TDA to partner with this commission so we can support bringing you folks a property tax cut in the future. That's what we need. And we're coming with our hat in our hand on this one. And I hope you understand that. You elected us to meet a goal. We're trying to meet it. But we need give and take on both ends, which means we need to realign somehow the money's spent and what fund it's spent from so we can better allocate it and better regulate it at the end of the day. Why am I a big fan? Because you see me there every Sunday. You see me there parked on my beach chair every Sunday at that pavilion, do you not? I am a fan of what Swansboro does. I love living here, and I love the atmosphere. I'm not looking to kill it, guys. I'm looking to get things back in line where they need to be, where they're well regulated. That's it.
Anybody else on Swan Fest? All right, moving on. All right. Thank you, Richard. All right, One Place. Thoughts? Ms. Pat?
I would recommend that we wait until mid-year for One Place and the museum and fund the two events that we've talked about, as long as they also go to the TDA. But One Place does support Swansboro with the children and the police department. I think the Museum of the Marines, although it's a good cause, it's not in Swansboro. So I would rather hold off on that one.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I agree with Pat.
Anybody else?
I think I need more information on operation. Didn't get a overwhelming feeling from the briefing.
One Place?
Right.
Okay. So I'm assuming no action on those two, is that correct? All right, hearing none, that's where we will go. And so it sounds like all right, so we need an official vote on Tunnel to Towers. I'm not I will still say that there's $201,000 in TDA. I think it's a great event for the town. I think Mary Pat does a tremendous job with Tunnel for Towers. It's a blessing to the town. I just have concern where the money's coming from because I know that we have $201,000 sitting in our TDA budget, and I think Tunnels to Towers is a perfect fit for that. That's my 2 cents on that. So with that said, Joe, I think you are locked and loaded to make a motion for something.
Yes, I am. You know, I think us putting our money where our mouth is as taxpayers says a lot. We share it with the TDA, and that's that's what, I'll make a motion that we fund a portion of the tunnels of towers in an in-kind type of donation.
Okay?
And
So basically, you're employing the staff on the date of the event
sure,
for somewhere,
but it's going to be
somewhere 6 to 8 hours for a, I'm guessing, what is it, 20 or so staff? I'm just guessing.
Hey,
Okay.
here, let me clean that up for you, John. I'm saying we do an in-kind in the amount of $2,500 to tunnels of towers. What that covers, if it covers fire and police, staff, parks and rec, when you get to $2,500 for us, you're done, right? But then we got TDAs coming in with 2,500 more, as per Randy, when he said that he felt that they could do that. So
All right, so you're making a motion for.
I'm making a motion that we fund in kind $2,500 to tunnels tower. You can call it whatever else you want to call it, John, but that's my motion.
Second.
All right.
Boom. Oh,
Joe, you're fired up. Okay. My only other concern that I'll put out now that we have a second is the staff mandated to work, or is it volunteer?
it's volunteer. It has to be volunteer, I believe.
Okay, very good. All right, so we have a second. Any further discussion? Yeah. Is your microphone on?
No.
Okay.
So we're just throwing this at two organizations tonight, and they haven't had this before. So I would suggest that we fund the $3,200 with the understanding that Tunnel to Towers and Swan Fest have to still go to the TDA, and next year you cut our budget to the $2,500. I mean, we're just hearing this, those folks are just hearing this today. And yes, they should go to TDA, but should we cut what we've always been doing, the $3,200?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. You know how much I love it. I think you're right. I kind of agree with Pat. I would like to see the town become a little bit more involved with tunnels and towers as far as communications and planning, maybe not getting into the running of the event, but just more communication than anything. And so we know where we're at in the process. I mean, whether it starts 6 months or if it's a year-round process. And just know, everybody knows what's going on and what's happening and how to do it. And you don't want too many chiefs. You need to have one person in charge of it, but just communicating with the town. So I would say, yeah, the 3,200, and then with the understanding that we would next year approach it differently, not to lose the event. We don't want to lose the event. We want it to stay here in Swansboro, but to manage it in a more cost-effective way for everybody, the town, the taxpayers, the event. Everybody comes out a winner in that situation. So that would be my motion.
I agree, and I think we need to maybe we need a joint session with the TDA, because I think we need, with $201,000, I understand why we want to fund it today, and I think it's the right thing. I think it's the right thing, where you're going with this as a board, but I think we need to get back to the TDA, and that there's a lot of money sitting there, and that way there's the Head Start, which is a fair concern that several people have brought up, and then that money's coming from there instead of out of the taxpayers' funds, and because there's plenty of money there, and so that's what we ought to be using, in my opinion. So, Joe, would you do me a favor, please, and amend your motion to $3,200?
I amend my motion to fund it at $3,200.
Thank you. Jeff, can you second that, please?
Second.
All right. Yes, sir. Well, we're reopened for discussion.
Real, thank you. I can do that to give logistical space that you need, Mary Pat, in order to get this done over a longer period of time. And also for us to hold a public meeting with TDA so we can get confirmation and support your effort there and ask them, we'll go with our hat in our hand to help you do this. And I think it's a good compromise. So I vote, yeah, no change for now, but in the future for next year's budget, now that we've got a town manager long-term, hopefully, that we've got the logistics so we can strategically what are needs of this town to get things back in alignment. And we're not going to do it all at once and frustrate folks at the same time. Okay? We good?
All right, so any other discussion? All right, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Right. Okay, well,